You are lying flat in wet grass, and you have not moved in 40 minutes. Your knee is shaking, not from cold, from the tiger. She is 30 meters away, drinking from a stream that catches the last orange light of the day, and if you breathe wrong, if your camera clicks at the wrong second, she disappears into the tall grass and you lose the shot of your life. Your finger is on the shutter. You don't press it yet, because you learned the hard way that the moment you rush is the moment you fail. This is what it means to be a wildlife photographer. Not the pretty photos people scroll past on their phones. Not the calendars. Not the magazine covers. This is mud and mosquitoes and hours of nothing, followed by 3 seconds that change everything. You didn't start here. Level 1. A kid with a broken pair of binoculars. You are 9 years old, lying on your stomach in your backyard, watching a bird you can't name build a nest in the gutter. You don't have a camera. You have your father's old binoculars, the left lens cracked, held together with tape. You watch that bird for 3 days straight. Your parents think it's a phase. It isn't. Something in you has already decided that the world is more interesting when nobody is looking at it, when you are the only witness. You don't know it yet, but this quiet obsession will cost you comfort, money, relationships, and years of your life. You also don't know it will give you moments no one else on earth will ever see. Level 2. Nobody thinks this is a real job. You are 19, and you just told your family you want to photograph animals for a living. The silence at the dinner table says everything. That's a hobby, your uncle says, not a career. You smile and say nothing, because you don't have an answer yet. You don't have proof yet. You have a second-hand camera you bought with 2 summers of saved-up wages, and a body of work made almost entirely of blurry pigeons and out-of-focus squirrels. You post your photos online. 12 people see them. 11 of them are your relatives. You keep going anyway. Level 3. The first real failure. You save for a year to afford your first real expedition. 3 days in a national park, chasing a family of foxes you scouted for weeks. On the final morning, the light is perfect. The foxes emerge from their den exactly where you predicted. You lift your camera. The memory card is full. You forgot to check it the night before. You watch through your own eyes, not your lens. The best moment of your career happened in front of you, and you cannot keep a single frame of it. You sit in your car afterward and you don't cry. You just stare at the dashboard for a long time. This is the moment most people quit. You almost do. Level 4. The sacrifice nobody sees. You are 24 now, and you have missed 2 weddings, 1 funeral you couldn't afford to fly back for, and every single holiday for 3 years. Your friends stopped inviting you to things. Not out of anger, out of habit. You were never around to say yes. You live out of a duffel bag in the back of a rented truck for 6 weeks at a time, eating cold food from a can, sleeping to the sound of animals you're too tired to be afraid of anymore. You tell yourself it's temporary. It isn't. This becomes your life. And somewhere in the middle of all that isolation, you stop missing the version of yourself that had a normal Tuesday. Level 5, the breakthrough. Then, one gray morning in a swamp nobody wanted to photograph, you get it. An egret, mid-strike, water exploding around its beak. A fish frozen in the exact instant of no return. You know before you even look at the screen. You felt it in your hands. That photograph gets picked up by a wildlife magazine. Then a second one. Then an agency reaches out. For the first time, a stranger pays you actual money for something you would have done for free. It isn't much, but it's proof. Proof that the boy with the broken binoculars wasn't wasting his time. Level 6, the rise. The years after that move fast. You go from swamps in your home state to river deltas in Africa, to frozen coastlines where polar bears test the ice with careful, deliberate steps. Your photos start showing up in places you used to only dream about. Full-page spreads, gallery walls, a cover. People recognize your name now. Young photographers message you asking how you got started, the way you once messaged photographers who never wrote back. You finally feel like you've made it. You haven't seen the real cost yet. Level 7, the peak. You are in a helicopter over the Arctic, doors open. Freezing wind tearing at your jacket. Tracking a mother polar bear and her 2 cubs across broken sea ice. This is the shot every wildlife photographer chases their entire career. You get it. The composition, the light, the emotion in the mother's eyes as she checks on her cubs. It wins an award. A real one. The kind with your name read out loud on a stage, in front of people whose work used to hang on your bedroom wall. For exactly one night, everything feels worth it. Then you go home to an apartment you've lived in for 4 years and barely recognize, and you realize you have no one to call and tell. Level 8. The cost of success. The awards don't stop the loneliness. They just make it quieter, more polite, easier to hide behind a full inbox. You start noticing what the job actually took. Relationships that ended not from a single fight, but from 100 small absences. A body that aches in ways it didn't at 24. Knees that remember every cold riverbank. Eyes that strain from a decade of watching for movement in the dark. You used to chase the animals. Now, some nights you wonder what it would feel like to just be still. Level 9, the final test. You take one last expedition before deciding what comes next. Deep into a forest that took 2 years of permits and planning to access, tracking a species so rare that fewer than 100 photographs of it exist anywhere on Earth. 11 days pass. Nothing. On the 12th, exhausted, ready to pack it in, you hear something in the brush that makes every hair on your arm stand up. You don't move. You barely breathe. And then, for 4 seconds, it steps into a shaft of light that shouldn't have been there at that exact time of day, as if the forest itself decided you'd earned it. You take the photograph. Then you lower the camera, and for the first time in years, you don't reach for it again. You just watch. Level 10, what you become. You go home. You publish the photograph. Travels farther than any image you've ever taken. Shared, printed, hung in places you'll never visit. But that isn't the part you remember. What you remember is the 12 days of silence before it. The not knowing, the waiting, the version of yourself that learned, slowly and painfully, that the world doesn't reward impatience. You think about the 9-year-old in the backyard, watching a bird build a nest out of nothing, with a cracked pair of binoculars and no idea what it would cost him. He didn't know about the missed weddings. He didn't know about the empty memory card, or the years alone in a truck, or the loneliness that comes after the applause fades. He just knew he wanted to see something true. And somehow, through every failure, every sacrifice, every frozen morning and empty frame, you gave him that. The world moved on without you 100 times. You were always exactly where you needed to be.